The last thing I heard before the ambulance arrived was my mother's voice whispering, "Don't change the past." Now, in the dusty silence of her clock shop, I find a journal that says, "The time is broken, and the clockmaker must mend it." My hands tremble as I open the leather cover, the scent of old paper and clock oil filling my nostrils. The journal is empty except for one page, dated the day of her death. My mother's handwriting is precise, yet trembling. The first line reads, "The time is broken. The clockmaker must mend it." But what does that mean? Why did she write it? Why did she die? I try to remember the last conversation we had. She was always so calm, but today she spoke in riddles. Now, in this quiet shop filled with ticking clocks, I feel the weight of her words. The clockmaker must mend the time, but time is already broken. The journal's first entry reveals a clock that runs backward. I find it hidden under a shelf of antique clocks, a small brass sphere with no hands, just a single pendulum swinging in reverse. The clock ticks with a sound like shattering glass, each chime echoing in the quiet shop. I hold it in my palm, the cold metal biting into my skin. My mother always said she was the clockmaker, but this is impossible. I turn it over, and there's a hidden compartment with a small key. The key fits a lock on the wall. But the wall is solid brick. The journal continues, "When time breaks, the clockmaker becomes the time." I run my thumb over the key, the cold metal humming with energy. This isn't just a clock, it's a message from the past. My mother was the clockmaker, but she never told me why she hid this. The key unlocks a hidden compartment in the wall. Inside, I find a small wooden box covered in wax. My mother's scent lingers, vanilla and clock oil. I open it, and a second journal falls out. This one is filled with sketches of intricate clockwork and handwritten notes. The latest entry reads, "The time is broken. Thomas must mend it." Thomas? My father? He vanished when I was 5. The journal describes a device that can manipulate time, but only for 1 minute. My mother was working on it. The device is hidden in the shop, but it's not a machine, it's a memory. The clockmaker must mend the time, but time is already broken. I close the journal, my heart pounding. If my mother knew Thomas was involved, why did she die? Why did she write this? The clock's backward chimes grow louder, each one echoing in my skull. A mysterious figure appears in the journal with a name that shouldn't exist. Dr. Eris Thorne. The name echoes in the shop. I've never heard it before. The journal describes him as the last person to see my mother alive. He's a time manipulator who worked with my mother. But he's dead. The journal says he died in a car accident 3 years ago. I find his old address in the shop's back room. The door is ajar, and I can see a figure in the shadows. It's Dr. Thorne, but he's not the same man I remember. His eyes are hollow, his clothes worn. He speaks in riddles, "The time is broken, Maya. You are the clockmaker now." My mother's voice echoes, "Don't change the past." But what past? Why does he know my name? The backward clock ticks louder, each chime closer to the end. The clockmaker must mend it, but who is the clock? My mother's death was part of a time loop. I realize this as the backward clock chimes again. The journal explains, my mother was the first to be trapped in the loop. She died in the car accident when I was 5, but the loop started when she was younger. She tried to fix time for me, but it broke her. The loop shows her death multiple times. Each time, she chooses to die to save me. The journal says, "The time is broken. Thomas must mend it." But Thomas was never in the loop. He was the one who broke it. My mother sacrificed herself to keep me safe, but the loop traps her in the past. The last entry reads, "The clockmaker must mend the time. But time is broken." I close the journal, the weight of it crushing me. The backward clock ticks once more, the end of the loop. My father was the one who broke the time loop. I find his old journal in the shop's basement. It's filled with the same backward clock sketches, but this time, the clock is working. Thomas was the one who tried to fix time for my mother, but he caused the loop. The journal says he died in the accident to save her, but she was already broken. The loop began when he tried to fix the time, but it shattered. My mother was the clockmaker who fixed time, but the loop broke her. Now, she's trapped in the past, and I'm the only one who can break it. The journal's final page reads, "The clockmaker must mend the time." But time is broken. I hold the journal, the backward clock ticking in my hand. The time loop is over, but the clockmaker must mend it. The time machine is a memory device. My mother's journal describes it as a device that can manipulate time, but it's actually a memory. She used it to keep me safe by trapping memories in the loop. The device was hidden in the shop, a small brass box with a key. I find it under the clock. Inside, there's a small device with a single pendulum. The journal says, "The clockmaker must mend the time." But the time is broken. The device is my mother's way of keeping me safe. I hold it in my hands, the cold metal humming with energy. The backward clock ticks louder, each chime closer to the end. This isn't a time machine, it's a memory of her love. The clockmaker must mend it, but I am the clock. The journal reveals a final message about the loop. My mother's last words, "Don't change the past. You are the clockmaker now. I understand now." The loop began when my father died in the accident. My mother tried to fix it, but she was trapped in the past. She used the memory device to keep me safe. The time is broken, but I am the clockmaker. The backward clock ticks one last time, the end of the loop. I close the journal, the weight of it crushing me. The clockmaker must mend the time, but time is already broken. I am the clock. And the time is mine. The clock's heart is my mother's love. The backward clock ticks with a sound like her voice. The memory device is her heart, it keeps me safe. The loop is over, but the clockmaker must mend the time. I realized the time machine wasn't a device, it was her love. She died to keep me safe, but her love became the clock. The time is broken, but I am the clockmaker. The journal says, "The clockmaker must mend the time." But the time is already mended. My mother's love is the only time that matters. I close the journal, the backward clock ticking softly in my hand. The time is broken, but it's fixed. The clock's final chime is the end of the loop. The backward clock ticks one last time, the sound of my mother's voice, "Don't change the past." I understand now. The loop was her way of protecting me. She died to keep me safe, but her love became the clock. The time is broken, but I am the clockmaker. The journal's last page says, "The time is mended." I close the journal, the backward clock ticking softly. The loop is over. My mother's love is the only time that matters. The loop ends with a new beginning. The backward clock stops ticking. I stand in the shop, the journal closed in my hands. The time is mended. My mother's love is the only time that matters. The clockmaker must mend the time, but I am the time. The journal says, "The time is broken, but it's fixed." I understand now. The loop was her sacrifice. She died to keep me safe, but her love became the clock. The time is mended. I am the clockmaker. And the time is mine. My mother's promise is the only time that matters. The journal says, "The time is broken, but it's fixed." I close my eyes, the backward clock ticking softly. The loop is over. My mother's love is the only time that matters. The clockmaker must mend the time, but I am the time. The time is mended. I am the clockmaker. And the time is mine. The last chime echoes in my heart, "Don't change the past." But the past is fixed. The time is mended. The truth is simpler than I thought. The clock wasn't broken. My mother was the clockmaker. She died to keep me safe. Her love became the clock. The loop was her way of protecting me. The time machine was her love. The backward clock ticks with her voice, don't change the past. But the past is fixed. The time is mended. I am the clockmaker. And the time is mine. The clock's last chime is a promise. The backward clock stops ticking. I close the journal, the weight of it gone. The time is mended. My mother's love is the only time that matters. The loop is over. I am the clockmaker. And the time is mine. The final chime echoes, don't change the past. But the past is fixed. The time is mended. I am the clockmaker. And the time is mine.